What is up, YouTube? HPJ here, and I am coming at you guys with part two to my Crisis in Yu-Gi-Oh! So if you guys have not watched my first discussion video, please do go check that out. There will be, at the end of this video, a link to the first video, or maybe here at about a good 20 seconds in, maybe 30 seconds in, I'll put like the little thing and you guys can check out the video there as well. But what's been going on with Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that for the last week, we have heard a lot of competitive players say that they are quitting Yu-Gi-Oh! To play it casual. Why is this so? Well, recently, for the last couple of years, because we're not just going to say this year. This year is probably just one of those, straw that broke the camel's back situations, where for the last couple of years there have been major decks that have been doing extremely well, and it has created these very high form of tier 0 formats. I remember when a lot of people used to say tier 0 was something that was rarely happening, and there were all these variations of decks that were being created in Yu-Gi-Oh! That didn't have to really suffer from that, which was true. Because our first ever tier 0 deck lineup was Chaos. Yada Control, then Chaos, then it was things that branched on from there. Now, throughout the years of Yu-Gi-Oh! That I have witnessed, because I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Competitively since 2009. Then, the end of 2009. Then branched on into where I gave my final hurrah about 2019. And I have seen the best and the worst of changes for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community. Whether it's been changes for the good, changes for the bad. I've seen archetypes do well and rise and fall, while other archetypes have struggled to even have even a mint of anything to sit beside them. Now, while we're in the gist of it, there's been a massive outcry because of the current archetype that is doing extremely well. That is, two of them. Snake Eyes and Fiendish Smith. Or Fiend Smith. I'm sorry, not Fiendish Smith. Fiend Smith. Now, the reason why I pinpointed these two as a point is because, the last tier 0 meta deck that was something relevant to that, which I know, I'm talking meta situation, was tier element Ishizu. And we watched how they literally had to crumble that double setup completely, to the point where there's only one of them that survived with enough sources to basically say it's something, but it's splashable, and the only reason why it's splashable is because it has to rely on other things. We watched Castira go through the same situation. We watched Fluandereeze go through it. We watched Tri-Brigade go through the same thing. And a lot of people have said, yeah, we have noticed a lot of these changes. And they're very not fair. You look at the OCG and you look at the TCGs for being limited lists, and they're basically mirror images of each other with a few hicks to it. While the TCG player base would complain that there are some things that they don't want back from the OCG is probably screaming, we want some of the changes that the TCG has. While there are various cards that I can name throughout both lists that, while I will agree I want some of those changes, there are some cards that I'm like, never mind, we don't need those. Why am I saying that? It's simply because of the fact that the setup of the game has now basically forced us to rely on cards that are doing multiple things that other cards would do in terms of combo and in terms of things that were set up through the combo. Where there has been this discussion that you pay to win with Yu-Gi-Oh! That's true. Not gonna lie. There have been various cases throughout the last decade and a half where I have witnessed, yes, Konami definitely has a more paid to win aspect of its top ranked players, as well as its top arc players throughout the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. Then there's also the issue that was going around about how people in these higher up seats feel like when you get to these higher up places, even if you get first place, you get literally nothing. Now, because it's been a whole couple of hours or a whole day since Jessica Robertson had dropped her video, Pac, a well-known Yu-Gi-Oh! Player, has also voiced his opinion. We've had several YouTubers, as well, I don't know what we call ourselves at this point. I guess several Yu-Gi-Oh! Influencers have now created videos themselves to also talk about the situation. including NBT, Cali Effect, myself, and many others have also addressed this issue. Not only online, but through video, but they've also been on social media talking about these things. We've seen people like Patrick Hovan, who's now taken to social media to address the issues as well, where he said, well, I remember when I was topping, and I was also having the same situation where, wow, the prize pool here sucks. And this was like years ago. Not saying Patrick Hovan hasn't topped in like years, but he's also, you know, talking about the years where he started topping, and he was like, yeah, this prize pool is not worth it. And then you have, you know, a lot of others like Chris LeBlanc, who's now talking about it. I'm sure Remy has talked about it as well. Hane has talked about it. But a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players, you know, who I can't speak for myself, are now saying that on a competitive level, they do not like the changes and things that are going on with Yu-Gi-Oh, where the prize pool is not matching up to what effort the players put into it. Then even on top of that, they rather play at locals where they're getting more stuff out of locals than they are getting out of the actual game for playing, which is very true. Now, I'm going to speak to this on a casual level as well, because I'm a casual player now. I've been a casual player for years. Let's not even cut the shit. I'm not a very good competitive player, but I'm a very good casual player. And what I've experienced at casual level is basically what experiences of things that the competitive players have been complaining about for years as well. There's not a lot of originality. The decks that people have basically built are only being built because now they have to rely on cards and hand traps to survive their game. This is why a lot of people have gone back to older formats, because those older formats were what people enjoyed about the game. There was a lot of balancing, there was a lot of things structured to the game, there was a lot of rule structure as well. And then on top of that, now Konami wants to benefit from it by having these events at main events. But even then, they don't even give the new players who are now topping these older events the recognition that these older players were getting back then. Which is, to be fair, little to barely none. Because you don't see any real aspect of Time Wizard formats being talked about unless the community itself talks about these players who are topping. Or you see their wins online through major websites that are updating, you know, the things that are going on from these major events. Because I've seen those from Edison and I've seen those for GOAT / Chaos formats that are being talked about. You know, here's the people who top the Time Wizard events, but they don't get any recognition on the main stage because they're not competing in modern Yu-Gi-Oh. Then we go on into the factor of, while looking at it as a casual player, side events are getting even better recognition than things you get from the main event. They're getting better mats, they're getting better boxes, they're getting more, you know, pool of things, and it's just like, I see why the competitive players are upset. Why is this not fairly equal? Then what is this prize pool? Because I've said in my other video that the prize pool is lackluster. This is why a lot of people are now moving to other card games, because they feel like they get better achievements from the other card games. And while some of them are a little lackluster, let's be real, they're still better than what Yu-Gi-Oh produces. Then I'm going to basically put the biggest elephant in the room. And this happens to involve, and I'm going to say it, the sponsored Yu-Gi-Oh influencers. That's right, I'm calling them out. Many of you get more love and recognition from Konami than the actual people playing the card game. Because I can tell you right now, I don't know one of the actual influencers outside of maybe Jessica that in Billy Break that have legitimately worked for, that are under Konami's sponsorship, that have actually topped events. Like, can we please name some? Because sorry if I'm not a competitive player and I don't know your name, because why? I'm a casual player. I would like to see some casual influencers be on, you know, the bracket. You know, show me some things like, and I've always said that because I'm saying this because, yeah, I am a little I have been a little jealous and a little salty about how things are working in the community when it comes to those who are doing exceptionally well trying to influence things in the game. I do feel like that as a casual, we don't get a lot of recognition for how much hard work that we get stole from us for a lot of those influencers that take decks and do all these things and then throw stones in and hide their hands. It makes no sense. It really doesn't, because now I'm opening up the case of where I feel like, yeah, Konami does not care about you for being a competitive player in their card game, because they made multiple statements saying that they don't want this to go into a gambling situation, but then also at the same time, well, your prize pools aren't making it worth spending the expenses for. But when you look at the videos and stuff from all of these Yu-Gi-Oh influencers that you have from YouTube and from Twitch and stuff, you know, these content creators that you're sponsoring, they're getting more prize pools better than the actual Yu-Gi-Oh players that are playing, that actually play the game and make the competitive scene what it is. So if you're saying that, when the statement of throw stones, hide hands is something Konami does well, they're doing it very well. God, they're worse than Nintendo at it at this point, or equal levels of Nintendo when it comes to that. Then you look at these things too, because I'm going to point out another thing. The actions that these influencers do that get a slap on the wrist, but if a competitive player at the top seats were doing something like that, they would be banned. And they know what I'm talking about, because there's been some very transphobic and homophobic things that have been said throughout the last couple of weeks. There have been, for the last couple of years, multiple of racial things that have been said. There's multiple things that have been said on a homophobic and transphobic thing. When you also have to look, Konami, majority of your player base are trans and LGBT, well, just LGBT members as a whole. Then, while being blacklisted in those senses, many of us have called out a lot of the players who have played in this card game that are being exceptionally homophobic and transphobic. They know who they are. So in that sense, where Konami is throw stones, hide hands, this is another reason why a lot of the competitive players are leaving, because if they do something to any degree, they get hit with a ban or a restriction, where your influencers don't. I've seen many of your influencers do it with a slap on the wrist. Just a nice little slap on the wrist. See, look, hand. That's what they do. That's what they do to them. And this is a part of the reason why the community is in its shambles right now, because it's like, we do anything in regards, there's no reward, but there are more consequences to the rewards. And just like I said in part one, Konami definitely does not care about its player base, but they'll give a damn about their influencers because it keeps the money going. That's literally what it is. That's literally what it is. So I can understand the pain and frustration of a lot of their competitive players saying, I'd rather play at a casual level. But I want you to know that even at a casual level, we're still going through the same things you guys are going through at the competitive level. And listen, you can do all the ban list changes you want, you can do all the master rule changes that you want, but literally understand that no matter what effects or things change, things are always going to result in the player bases leaving, because the game is not as fun as it used to be, or there's no structure at the competitive level to where the competitive players feel like, if I'm going to spend this X amount of money, just in general, if any player is spending an X amount of money over a certain degree to where the prize pool is not worth the effort that they put into it, then baby, it's time to find you a new card game, or just a new game in general, because Konami does not care. And they are throwing stones and hiding hands. So with that said and told, I'm going to go ahead and end this video and post it as soon as I possibly can, because I'm going to say some more things that I don't think need to be said, but I'll probably post them on Twitter. So with that said and told, thank you guys so much for watching part 2 of the crisis in Yu-Gi-Oh! And let me know what things you guys want to talk about and address with this situation as well. I'm going to leave it at that, and please be respectful to each other in the comment section because, I don't tolerate that. With that said and done, thanks everyone for watching, and I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel as it helps me out tremendously. You can hit the notification bell to be informed of when I do upload more content to the channel. My social media links are in the description box below, and you guys can check out the playlist as well to take a look at other things that I've talked about within deck lists, deck profiles, and more. With that said and done, thanks everyone for watching. Your boy HPJ, signing out.